Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Alyssa Dias, and on behalf of Staples, we're really excited to bring you today's webinar on improving online visibility for your business. And this is something that's so important every day for small businesses so they can be found by their customers or potential customers, and especially now with changing hours and operations as a result of COVID-19. So we're really excited to be here with you today. We will have time for Q&A at the end, so if you have a question, you can go ahead and scan the QR code that you can see on the screen now. You can also follow the link on the Eventbrite page for this event as well. So feel free to submit questions throughout the broadcast, and we'll have time at the end, and we'll do our best to get to as many as we can before our time together is up. So with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Andre Perreault. He's the Director of SEO at the Richards Group. And with that position, he's delivered incredible results for clients like Firehouse Subs, PF Chang, various healthcare providers, and more. He's also known as the SEO physician. So without further ado, Andre, take it away.
Thanks, Alyssa. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to small business owners. I've been one myself in the past, owning a small retail bike store in Canada originally, so I can definitely be very sympathetic to the challenges that you're currently facing. And like many businesses, I think we're truly all in this together. So I'm happy to share our insight that we've learned by helping a lot of our both small and large clients at the Richards Group to help really local businesses at all levels. So let's begin, first of all, saying search is really super important nowadays, that customers are still looking for services. And more than ever, those near me searches have been climbing for the last decade. But as of most recently, we're seeing some trending in everything from bike stores, nail salons, and everything else really improving or really spiking in terms of visibility. You'll see here, can you just advance the slide for a second? So golf courses are up 250%. Obviously, pent up demand for those golfers out there. Bike shops up nearly 350%, as well as nail salons for obvious reasons there. That all these are trending and many others. So it's not like consumers don't want to go shopping. They do. They just really have been restricted because of state closures and that. So now's the time that you want to make sure that your online visibility is out there as much as possible to capture those clients that are looking for your business or products and services. So last year, the Richards Group was asked to do a pitch for Edible Arrangements. You may be familiar with, they do those lovely fruit baskets and definitely very tasty treats. Fortunately, I happen to live just a block away from one of their franchisees, so I had the opportunity to actually see how their local visibility was. And to my surprise, when I did a search for gift baskets, I had somewhat of mixed findings, which was definitely not what I expected. I'd like to share some of those findings because we're going to use those to learn from in terms of seeing how to improve or what ranking factors are for local visibility. So let's take a look at that first result, Hickory Farms. So certainly a bit of a surprise. They were actually not really close to where I lived. They only had 1-star review and they had a photo of a wall. So kind of makes me wonder if Google was out to lunch there a little bit. The next result was again for Divine Gifts. Certainly, at least here we have a photograph of what looks like to be some gifts. And they're actually right around the corner from my house. There was no website. And one of the photos was of a car wash. So that was a bit weird. So let's look at the third result here. So again, this was for Best Basket. No website again. Apparently, it looks like, based on the photograph, it's in somebody's garage or at somebody's house, or it's the wrong address. And it's an unclaimed business listing. So at this point, it seems that the Google algorithms are complete myths because the Edible Arrangements, the fourth that appeared, has a great website and certainly was really close. So what we're going to do today is really examine the reasons why that particular search result didn't appear. And you might say, well, they appeared number 4. That's pretty good. Well, we have our saying in the map pack results, only 3 businesses show up. So basically, Edible Arrangements was on the second page of search results. And we have a saying in our industry related to that particular topic. and that is the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of search results. And that's where, unfortunately, edible arrangements was. So you really ideally want to hit those 3 positions. And that's going to be the topic for today, is really to show you how we can get into those top 3 positions. So what we'll cover today is exactly that. Is that how do you, first of all, claim your business if you haven't already claimed one? We're going to look at some of the local ranking factors that determine who appears first and last. And we're going to actually do a little bit of directly hands-on looking at the Google My Business and how to update your business listings. And also talk a little bit about whether you really need a website or not. In the examples results, we saw that a couple of businesses didn't even have a website. Do you need one? Then with all that information, we're going to see how thorough your knowledge is afterwards, and or how good this presentation was. We're going to do a quiz to determine why did edible arrangement rank 4, and hopefully you'll come up with the right answers. We'll summarize the whole thing, and then we'll open up to questions after that. So let's begin by looking at claiming your location. So one of the easiest ways to begin with is simply to find your business name. Search for your business in Google. You should come up and see a side rail right here for your particular business. If you do, then simply click on Own Your Business, and it's going to take you to a screen that looks likely like this. And at this point, you can click on Manage This Location. And from that screen, you'll be basically, there's typically 2 options. Most of the time, you'll be asked to just simply put your contact name, and they're going to, Google will mail a postcard to your address. Some businesses may give you the option for a phone verification, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time, you're going to be invited to just get a postcard. It's going to look something like this. And it's really important. You can't believe how many times we've tried to work with businesses, and over again, we kept having to repeatedly send postcards because inevitably somebody thought it was spam and threw it out. Don't throw these out. Let your staff and let everybody know, whoever handles the mail in your business, to look for something from Google. When you receive that, you can follow the instructions that are within the sheet. It's going to be like a 5 or 6 digit code. You'll return to the Google My Business listing that you started claiming, and you can finalize and claim your business location. Now, this rest of the presentation is really intended for those who have already claimed their presentation, obviously. So if you haven't claimed your location, feel free to jump off and maybe watch the recording at a later date, or feel free to stay. Now, if you encounter a scenario where it says this location's already been claimed, Google will give you a partial hint as to who the or which email address verified that location. So you might recognize it and know who it is within your organization. You can certainly then contact that person and get them to ask to add you to the user, so you can start modifying the location. If it is not an email you recognize, simply click on the Request Access button, and you will have a short form to complete, which you're going to basically ask Google to say, hey, this is actually my business, put your name and phone number and hit submit. And if there is no response to the email, Google will basically send an email out to the contact person listed. If they don't respond within 7 days, Google will grant you access. So hopefully with those, you'll have success in claiming a location. And once you have that done and you complete your profile, which we're about to go into detail, you'll want to also claim your business in Bing. And the beauty of the Bing locations is that you can import all your settings from Google. So don't start with Bing, start with Google, and then move on to Bing. Now, today we don't have that much time. I can't cover both, so we won't be discussing how to set up your Bing places. We'll focus mostly on the Google My Business profiles. So let's take a look at the local ranking factors. One of the biggest ones is what's called NAP listings. So what Google does, it looks at a whole bunch of aggregators and directories. We're seeing a list of this web of information it draws from, and it's looking for, is your business name listed across a wide range of directories consistently? It also looks at, is the address and phone number match? So anytime you have discrepancies, it can hurt your credibility with Google, and they may or may not rank you as well as it could if you have a lot of inconsistencies across various directories. So if your Facebook page has a different address and phone number, or maybe your Yelp, or whichever of these particular aggregators and directories have misinformation, it should be corrected. So if you've moved your business over the last few years, you might want to make sure that those directories all have the correct information. And this is where sometimes working with a listing management company can help, where they can actually propagate and push your information out across a whole wide range of directories. So let's go on to our next slide here. Thank you. And the next ranking factor is based on proximity. As you saw earlier when I was doing that gift basket search, that the businesses that were closest were showing up, with a few exceptions. So I just did a search yesterday for air conditioning services, as it's starting to get in the 90s here in Boston and very humid. So we need to make sure our air conditioning works properly. So you can see here that based on my proximity, I get these particular 3 results. So let's go on and let's take, now if I'm in Belmont, just across the road, you can see that I get entirely different results. So that's because it's proximity based. So it's looking, okay, where the user is and who's closest to that. This is especially true for restaurants. If I'm just looking for a place to eat, I can just put restaurants near me. It'll serve up whomever is closest to my specific location. Really important for mobile users. They might be on a move, you might be traveling. So the search result will change based on your location. And even by zip code, as you can see here for Boston, really small zip code areas side by side, completely different results for restaurants near me. All right, so again, getting back to the air conditioning services, another one of the ranking factors is ratings, which you see here on the screen. So you can see Garrett Brothers has 5 stars, Winter Homes 4.8, and Frederick Emergency AC Repair doesn't have any currently. So you can, if you like to work with only companies that have really good results, filter out based on those user ratings. As a person, all I need to do is click on ratings, and I can select 3.5, and then the results are filtered out. So now it takes you to a deep dive with the same results, but you'll notice that the Frederick location is now gone, and I am only served up businesses that have ratings 3.5 or higher. So again, maintaining your reputation online is very important, as people can filter out based on that criteria. All right, so categories. What are categories? Well, categories are basically, Google gives you the option to put what kind of business you are. So let's say if you're a restaurant, you might select your under Google My Business that you're a restaurant. Well, that's okay. But there are actually 3,900 different categories. So you want to pick the best possible matches. In fact, for insurance industries, if we go to, let's take a look at some of those particular results. There we go. So auto insurance, for example, if I change my results, again, different set of results. The reason for this is really quite simple, is that depending on the categories that these insurance companies have selected will impact who shows up. So let's take a look at those categories, and we'll see here that the ones that are most relevant for somebody like me looking for auto insurance, you can see here, auto insurance agency, home insurance, insurance agency, motorcycle, insurance broker, and insurance company. Then I might say, well, how come they don't have truck insurance? Talk to Google about that. I have no idea. But there's actually no category for truck insurance. So the reason that there's different results really depends on which categories those businesses have selected. Now, here's a great tip. You can put 9 different categories, up to 9. So don't just select one category, select as many as possible that are relevant for your business. You'll see on our next screen here that for restaurants have a ton, 408 different unique categories for the businesses. So you can really drill down to the type of cuisine that you serve. So for example, here On the Border Mexican Grill has a whole subset of takeout, taco, caterer, burrito, Tex-Mex, and whereas P.F. Chang's has an entirely different set: Chinese, takeout, Asian restaurant, sushi, so on and so forth. So you can see that, drill down and explore all the various categories as much as possible, and pick the ones that are the best possible fit for your particular business. Okay, so in here, business descriptions. This is probably an area that we see most frequently not filled in the Google My Business profiles. And they're actually really important because apart from those categories, they allow you to really broaden appear for more searches. So I've highlighted in yellow here common search terms so this improves your visibility and how often and where you appear for search results. So if I'm looking for sushi or maybe bowls, there's no category for bowls, but they're very popular nowadays. So by including that in my business description, Google will say, oh, that's a match. And you're going to appear if somebody's looking for bowls near me. In other words, you're looking for a bowl for lunch maybe or something like that. So it's really important to include those and complete your business description in Google My Business. All right, photos and videos. So photos and videos are a really great way to showcase your business. It really helps people understand your visibility and what you sell. And there's an abundance of opportunities here. So we saw here, for example, remember that Divine Gifts. This is not a good representation of your business. You can control a lot of these. So you want to replace that with something more relevant for your business, certainly. Let's look. So you can see here the wide array of opportunities that you can upload. You can upload your logo. You can have a nice masthead photograph. As an owner, you can upload a bunch of images yourself directly. Users can also add photographs to your website. Very popular for restaurants. A lot of people take pictures of their meals before eating them to share with their friends. That can show up in Google, which is a great testimonial for your business. Interiors, you can show people what the atmosphere of your business is like. That can be very enticing, as well as the exteriors. I like the exteriors. I'll tell you why sometimes that there's a favorite pizza place near my house here. I'm new here in Boston, so I knew where it was roughly. I literally drove past it, not recognizing the storefront. So it's great. Yes, I have your address. I've got my cell phone to help me guide it there. But when I'm really close, it makes it easier for people to find, oh, there it is. I recognize it now. So add your exterior photographs. They're great. Also, you can add photographs for at work. Some medical providers do that. So you can get kind of familiar with people that you might be dealing with. Great asset, team photographs. And one new feature just added, products. You can also add products. So if you're selling items, things like that, they're a great opportunity to have to make sure to include those as well. So here's a wonderful example. This is from Primrose Schools, one of our clients. They've added a lot of 360 videos. So basically really great interiors of all their schools. So you can see all their daycare centers interior. So this is really comforting for parents, for example. So in fact, over the last couple of years, they've had over 18,000 views on these videos. So definitely worthwhile putting some assets there on the page. All right, so let's take a look at, this comes up quite a bit where we may or may not have a website. Now, I highly encourage you to get a website added to yours. And I'm going to show you why here in a moment. So Firehouse Subs, well-known brand, certainly. And having a website, of course, means that they can drill down to your specific location page. So if you have 2 more locations, very beneficial. Additionally, having a website means that you can also rank not just for the MacPack, but you'll have your own listing for the business. In this particular case here, we see there's reviews, things like that. So it really helps to identify your business. So do highly encourage it. There's another reason for this as well, why you want to include a website. And that is because the content of your location page also helps Google understand and rank your location listing. So although somebody may not visit your website, it is actually going to look at the website that you're linking to and look at the content. So you can see here for the Firehouse Subs locations that the content and all the keywords that we'll find on the page include like sub sandwich shop, hot sub sandwiches, sub shop sandwiches, where actually even the testimonials included within your location pages help Google understand the nature of your business. So again, remember, although there's 3,900 various categories and 408 for restaurants, for all your other business types, there's no category for sub shop or hot sub sandwich. There is for subs, but you can see by having more of these, we now rank for a wider range of search terms and appear more often to more people as a result of that. So it's really important. It gives you more places to showcase your business than just a Google My Business listing. So it's always good to have a website. And even if you have just 1 or 2 pages, it can really help get you some additional traction. So in the Firehouse Subs locations. In fact, when I started with them a few years ago, the location pages actually had very little visibility. And by really creating and optimizing their on-location pages, we took them from about 700,000 visitors a month to now 1.8 million per month. So it was definitely worthwhile spending a bit of time in customizing each of your location pages. Again, for local restaurants, it's really, in my opinion, a must-have. All right. Now let's get into, nice to talk about and understand some of the ranking factors. Let's talk about how to specifically do it next. And so we'll jump right in. Let's take a look at the first item is Google Posts. So Google Posts here are really another untapped opportunity. But first, let me show you what they are. So see at the bottom right here in red, that's a Google Post. So again, it gives you more places and more visibility on search engines, and it gives you the opportunity to share some additional content with your potential customers. So let's take a look at that. And here we see for particular offers. In Google Posts, you can create specific offers. Maybe you want to offer some special incentives during these particular times to entice customers to come back. You can do that through Google Posts. Another example is what's new. So maybe you're just reopening. Let your customers know through that. You can also add specific buttons, again, similar to offers, where you can have additional enticements if you like. So that's the offers. Another feature that you can include are what's new. So again, what's new can be new products, new locations, new features, whatever it is. And you have a lot of flexibility to create your own unique posts that will appear there. And so that's there's also events, which are a nice feature. And again, a fairly new one is products. And the products and updates are, again, some that you should really focus on quite a bit. So here, this is a really effective use for Primrose schools. A lot of the daycares are just starting to reopen up. So this is really to reassure parents, showcasing what steps they're doing to sterilize and clean their environments and safety steps. So you can do that to reassure your patrons of the steps they're doing, that their experience, whether they're coming back to dine with you or to purchase insurance or whatever it might be for your business service, is going to be safe. So here's a really wonderful example while I was searching for those air conditioning services of a company that really used a couple of the features very effectively, offers and products. And you can see that in their Google My Business listing when you drill down on Winters Home Services, that they have offers highlighted in red here, and also products. So pretty cool use of that feature. So well done. That. And that's, again, that doesn't cost you anything to add any of those at any time. So moving on, another feature when we look at the overall is the info tab. The info tab really highlights the core of your business information. You really want to spend some time here to complete as much information as possible. Let's start from the top. Categories. I spoke about that earlier. This is where you enter it, the very first one. So here we can see PF Chang's, is Chinese restaurant, takeout restaurant, Asian sushi. Again, add up to 9 categories that are most relevant for your business. It really can help it out in terms of the discovery searches. If somebody is looking for a Chinese restaurant, you'll appear, or whatever it may be. So really great asset to complete that. The one right below that is add a service area. Again, that's a really important one. What kind of geographic range do you cover? One example why you may say, well, it might just be the address Thousand Oaks. Well, for example, I happen to live pretty much right on the border between Watertown, Massachusetts, and Belmont. So if you just rely on Google, say, oh, it's Belmont. Well, they're only going to show or have a preference to show your restaurant for Belmont. But in reality, I'm as close to somebody who lives in Belmont in Watertown. So add a service area means that don't rely just on your address. You can add service areas that you cover, you're near Watertown. So expand your range if it makes sense. So, most of your customers are coming between a 5 to 10 mile radius. Look at the maps. What other areas are really close by? That happens a lot. Like, remember those Boston zip codes? Same thing. You're really on the border between two. Make sure you cover both of those service areas. And you could put cities, you can put zip codes, whatever you like will help Google's understanding of service areas that you offer. Another one that you should look at is, do you want to accept calls from Google Assistant calls? Now, if you guys may have caught the news, I don't know, probably late last year, that now you can have your Google Smart Speaker book and make reservations or make calls for you. So you want to acknowledge, do you want to accept those or not? It's a nice feature. It makes it more convenient. Certainly, if I want to book a reservation at a local restaurant, I can just ask my assistant to do that. So make sure if you're open and want to receive that extra business, make sure you check that box. Otherwise, you will not get those specific phone calls. All right, on the next page, we're going to take looks at next is links. So apart from your website, depending on the category of your business, you may have the opportunity to link to multiple pages within your particular location. So we have our location page, yes, but you could also link to menus, order ahead links, reservation links. So you can see there's a lot of opportunities. They just added 4 new ones today, which are not on here, for online reservations, online consulting. So they're really broadening it out to help local businesses as much as possible. So again, don't be surprised if you don't see these exact links. They'll vary depending on your category of your business. Amenities and other options. This is also very important, is that as you go through these, what amenities do you have available for your business? Again, this will vary depending on the type of business you are, but if you're a restaurant, do you have a bar on site? Is it kid-friendly? Do you have washrooms? Do you have Wi-Fi? Make sure to include as many features as possible, and then just simply click apply when you're done, and those will be added to your Google My Business profile. So, I mentioned earlier, the business description. You can add up to 750 characters describing your business. Now, I think a lot of business owners must be really shy, don't want to talk about their business. I'm kidding, of course, but you really should complete this as best as you can to really appear more often. It's a really untapped gold mine of opportunities to rank for a wider range of search terms. All right, next up is as I mentioned earlier, there's the sub-tabs change depending on the business side. So don't expect to see the same tabs depending on different business. Obviously, we can't cover every variation of permutation available. So just keep that in mind. If you don't see what's on screen, it could be that the business type that you're in just simply doesn't apply here. Okay. Insights. Insights is a wonderful way for you to see how you're doing month over month or quarterly. Google has some built-in reporting dashboards, so you can kind of see how many businesses or how many where your customers are coming from. Are they direct? Direct means it's basically somebody who typed in your business name and knows how to get it or even brand it. And discovery is all those categories. So you can see that this particular location, most of the time, it's not the company name, but rather the category that's attracting most of the visitors. So it's very important to keep an eye on it. So if you see any of these dramatically change, you probably should look at, is there something you want to know with your website or your listing, or maybe even your reviews are potentially causing some damage. Reviews. Well, this is an extremely important, again, very untapped asset for most businesses. You definitely want to try and encourage people to review your business and make sure that if you have negative reviews, to respond to them, as well as to acknowledge those positive reviews and thank them for it. Those really can help your business in terms of visibility, because it is well known that having the reviews helps with the click-through rate, or will encourage more people to visit. So in this particular search results here, I think that most people are going to click the one with the reviews, and keep in mind, you can also filter out based. So if you have a low score, means that you may not even get the business opportunity. So you want to really kind of curate and manage your reputation and deal with any negative reviews promptly and address those. And if it's underlying business issues or if there's an unhappy customer, try and convert them to a loyal customer by giving them some attention. So photos, as mentioned earlier, photographs are a great way to showcase your business. If you've got food or products, these are wonderful to really show off your products and what you're selling. And there's a lot of this is a mixture of both user-generated content as well as owner-generated content. So don't leave these blank. Take some time. If you can afford it, hire a professional photographer. Phones are great nowadays. So honestly, the new smartphones have incredibly good cameras that can take pictures and even poor lighting and make them look good. So take a moment or two, take some good pictures, upload your best assets possible. Very easy to do, just a matter of click on the plus button. You're going to get a menu like this. You can drag or drop, or you can just attached through a file. So couldn't be easier. So you need a website. I know I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, that the content of the location pages really does help with the visibility and help to get new business. So make sure you use that. It does give you a wider range of search terms and better visibility ultimately. So, and there's so many affordable ways to get websites now, whether it's even Google has within their own platform, you can get a website built now. So it's becoming certainly a lot easier. So hopefully you guys have been paying attention. Let's see how you did in terms of what was the reason that edible arrangements only ranked 4th. So we'll do a quick poll here. Why didn't they rank in the top 3? Is it that they weren't the closest? They didn't include the right category, maybe? They had less pictures of gift baskets, perhaps? And maybe it's all of the above. So I'm not sure if there's a way to do a poll on here. We'll give it a second, mull that over a second, and we're just going to reveal the answer is B. They should use gift basket store instead of gift shop, and they've since corrected that, and edible arrangements now actually ranks in the 3rd position since they've corrected that. So it can make a difference. Those categories can make a world of difference overall. So on those original results, this is what we're seeing today. So yes, we still have Divine Gifts. Hickory Farms is gone, but edible arrangements is now on the 1st page of search results. Divine Gifts is still closest to where I used to live, so they still show up. But overall, you can see that it doesn't take much. Sometimes just a changing category can help your visibility immensely. So in summary, make sure if you haven't claimed your business, claim it. If you see under your business name says, do you own this location? Click on that and claim your business. Super important. And really use all relevant categories as you're completing your profile. Don't just use one. It's not likely that you're so tightly focused that you don't have multiple categories that you fit into. Add photos and videos as much as possible. Make sure to really describe your business in the profile itself, and always respond if you can to reviews, especially the negative ones. There's some great ways. It's worth it. It's a great asset. Also, make sure to link to your website, and link multiple times if you can, if it's relevant. Also use all available and relevant features. So the amenities and products, whatever fits your business, make sure to look at that. Spend some time filling this information out, because it can really help you get a lot more business leads. It's worth it. Even if you spend an hour, so it's going to be an hour that it will be very fruitful for you. And lastly, make sure to get a website. I can't stress that enough, that it's still very, very important to get that for any credible business.
Okay.
So questions?
Great, Andre, thank you so much. Lots of practical information there. Hopefully helped all of our audience find ways to avoid the dreaded 2nd page of search listings. So with that, we'll open it up for questions and answers from Andre. So if you haven't submitted a question yet, feel free to do so. You can scan the QR code on your screen here using your phone's camera, or you can use the link that you can find directly in the Eventbrite invitation for this event. As we wait for a few more questions to come in, I do have one from Steve in North Carolina, and he asks, do you have any advice for a business that actually doesn't have a storefront to be found on the search?
Yes, actually, there is an option. So if you do have, maybe at home, maybe you're doing some consulting where you don't see people at your business, you can opt out of having your address displayed. So basically, yeah, so you can do that, but go ahead and complete everything else, certainly. So your address won't appear. You can put a city maybe, because I mean, you can put North Carolina, it's pretty vague. I don't think anybody's going to find you with that little information. But you can still link to a website. You can have so it is an option. Google's recognized that. And so you don't have to put your business, you can still get it validated. But when you do claim your business, you will still have to submit your address. It's just a toggle where you say, I don't see customers at my business. The address will not appear. Great question. Great question.
Thank you. Here's another one from Josh in Texas, and he's asking about the website and how that helps the the search results, but wondering if the website needs to be optimized at all for SEO itself, or just having the website is good enough.
Well, you should really try and optimize your website as well, because just having it doesn't mean they will come. We see that quite often where there could be some technical roadblocks, in which case Google may not be able to fully recognize. And remember, in some of those search results that we saw, there's a map pack and there's organic listings below that. So you certainly want it to appear like Firehouse Subs was appearing in the map pack and the organic listings. So you still have to do your work. You can't have just a blank page with no information. Google's going to look at that. In fact, it can be a negative to have a poor page. I'll explain why in a second. It's a really excellent question. Is that as users visit your website, so let's say hypothetically you've got a page, you link to it. Google is going to look at the reactions of people coming to that page. And if they see that as a result of visiting that page, they leave and don't do any engagement and go back to the search results and visit other businesses, they're going to start saying, perhaps that company is ill-fitted to be ranking for that. It can actually, we've actually seen that quite often, where a poor landing page will actually bring you down in search results. If you have a bad page, you're better off to remove it completely than to have a poor page. Whereas a good page will enhance you, a bad page will drag you down. So it's really important. Make sure you have a really good website and a web page. Otherwise, you're better off not to have one at all.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Yep, if we could just, we'll call out the QR code one more time. This is the best way to get your questions in. We can also use the Eventbrite link, so keep them coming in. We did have another question. What happens if my business when I go to claim my business, I see a duplicate listing?
Yeah, that's going to happen quite a bit. And what you want to do in that particular case is, if you've already got a business claimed, you can do the request to take ownership of that duplicate listing. So again, Google does create a lot of these sometimes. Users can actually create a business sometimes. For you. So they may be doing some weird search term and they say, oh, here's this business is missing. They will create a profile. And so you can generally claim those fairly easily, again, with the postcard validation. So once you have access to both, there's an option in your Google My Business Management profile where it's just with a click of a button, you can merge two locations. So it will eliminate the duplicate listings. And again, if you're using a listing management company, they have ways to suppress all the duplicate listings as well.
This one is kind of on a similar vein. When I go to claim my business, what happens if I can't find it?
Okay, so if you can't find it by your business name, check your address. So type in your address and see if you can find it with that. If you still can't find it, then you really have a problem. It's kind of like you obviously have no visibility. You can still create a brand new profile where you could submit, here's my new business. It may happen, maybe it's a brand new, nothing has ever existed there before. Then you can actually create a brand new listing from scratch to say, this is actually missing, and start the process. Same process. It's just you're going to go through a business card, will be mailed to the address, you'll complete it, and then that profile will appear. Excellent question.
Good stuff. Now here's one from Liz in South Dakota. So Liz is wondering, you mentioned the listing management company. What does that do for me, and is that something I would want to invest in?
It depends on the scenarios. So listing management companies are ideal when you have multiple locations, or if you remember, I mentioned earlier that if you have some conflicts, that perhaps your business has been around for a while, you've moved, there's different phone numbers out there. There's some tools generally with the listing management. They can do an audit to see if you have some underlying issues. And some of the directories are really hard to correct. Basically, you can't do it manually. You have to go through some of the business direct. Like I don't think you can do Yahoo anymore, for example. You have to go through Yext to be able to clean up your Yahoo profile, or Manta, and these various business ones that you have to be able to go in and correct those through a listing management company. So it's not a bad idea to request an audit. Most of the companies will do that at pretty much no charge because they're hoping they're going to get your business. If they identify a lot of problems, then it'll be worthwhile. Generally speaking, if you got a location, you're fairly new, you can get away with just starting with Google My Business and Bing location profiles to start. The others will actually copy that over time. but it could take 3 months or more. And so there's certainly less. I mean, if you get a Google My Business, you're pretty much catching 90 to 95% of all the searches. So then it's like, okay, whatever the rest of the small percentages, they're going to be through these other directories. Now, depending on the business types, if you do searches for restaurants, things like that, you're going to see aggregators and directories quite often. So you may want to get listed on those if your business doesn't show up as well. So there's pros and cons to both. There's certainly, they range in price anywhere from $10 to $30 a month for management. But what's nice that they may have packages where you can get listed in 20 main directories, things like that. Healthcare, for example, there are specific healthcare directories. I don't even know what they are, but they're out there, which Google would look at. How credible are you as a maybe as a healthcare provider, things like that. So those would be good to get. Where depending on the type of business, that if you want instant credibility and instant visibility, it'll give you that.
Great, thank you. And we actually have a follow-up question related to the optimizing website for SEO. Any tips on actually how to do that?
We have 4 hours. There are 2 big components of it. One, make sure your website can be seen by the search engines. That's the technical aspect. So believe it or not, we occasionally get somebody who got a new website and the developers forgot to remove what's called a no index tag. When you're building a website, you don't want it to be crawled, so you'll typically put what's called a no index tag. I've seen, at least once a year, I'll look at a business and say, our website traffic has just disappeared. I'll look at the website and there'll be a leftover no index tag. It's like, remove that, you'll get visibility. So that's there's a lot of other technical, that's one. Number 2 is content. Content really accounts for 80% of your visibility ultimately, because even if you have a pretty website, has no content, no meaning, it's like, it's not going to really be helping with the search intent. So if I'm looking for an oncologist, well, I'm going to want to know about that doctor and his practice and his background and where they're located. You've got to have some core fundamental information to rank so that whatever you might be looking for, that you answer people's questions, really is the best way to improve your ranking. So again, can I answer that really quickly? Not really. It varies so much by business, but just keep those 2 things in mind. Are you technically sound? Do you have content that matches the search intent of the user? So good analogy, a good example. Truth is, Google is as dumb as nails. Let me explain why. Let's say I tell you I've got a business and I sell 6-inch subs. What do you think I'm selling? Oh, you might think, well, you mentioned Firehouses. You're probably selling 6-inch subs. I'm like, no, I sell 6-inch plastic subs. Can't believe we got that wrong. Well, Google doesn't understand the text. When you say you sell 6-inch subs, do you mean a sandwich? Do you mean a toy? Or do you mean a 6-inch subwoofer? So 3 identical text doesn't understand the difference between any of those. So again, what was the search intent that I was looking for? So we need to really understand what that person was looking for to begin with. And Google's algorithms are so brilliant nowadays that if it's 11:45 and I'm looking for, AM, and I'm looking for 6-inch sub, Google's gonna, and I'm at work, Google's gonna know I'm looking for a place to eat. But if it's Saturday afternoon, maybe 10 a.m., and I do a 6-inch sub, like, he's looking for a toy for his kid's birthday. It'll actually give different results based on the time of day and my previous search history. So it's actually really, really cool. There's more to it than that, but again, that gives kind of like a long answer to meeting that search intent. So depending if I'm looking for a 6-inch sub and I get a toy website at lunchtime on a Thursday afternoon, I'm gonna be like, what the heck? So what would happen is I would go to that website and leave immediately. That tells Google a signal that that site wasn't what I was looking for. So next time it's not going to give me that same website. So that website's organic rankings for restaurants near me or subs near me would start going down. Eventually it's going to disappear from that, but they'll start paying for toys, we hope. So long story short.
No, that's incredible. That's great, and some good nuggets there to help with SEO. So thank you for that. We've had some great questions so far. Let's throw the QR code up one more time. I think we're getting to the end of our list here. But if you do have any last questions for Andre on how to make your business visible online through SEO, through Google My Business, use your QR code here, or click the link in the broadcast. So I think we've hit everything so far, unless we get any last stragglers in. Andre, any final tips, words of advice, or if you want to let the audience know where they could reach out to you if they do have any further questions?
Yeah, certainly. I think we'll have, if you want to send me an email, is to send it to Andre, A-N-D-R-E, last letter P, at the SEOphysician.com. Happy to answer any additional questions that you might have. And also, just as a final tip in terms of optimizing your website, the fundamentals of SEO are really pretty straightforward. In the sense, you have to have empathy for your customers. Put yourself in their shoes. When they're looking for information, are you providing that? So you really have to kind of step aside. Sometimes we're too close to the business, where it's like you think you're saying it, but you're really not. So step back. Maybe have a friend or somebody who's not in your business check out your content and say, wait a second, I don't really quite understand what you're saying. And a lot of times when we do audits, first thing I look at, I don't even want to get a creative brief because it's going to taint the waters in the sense that it might influence how I perceive your business. I go in and see. If I don't understand what you do, we have a problem. It should be really clear messaging in terms of the content and material so that I'm like, oh, okay, I get what you do. Yes, you can help me or not. So you want to be really concise and to the point and use common language. Quite often we get websites that want to be very clever and use some very obscure language. Like, what are you saying? It's like, really be clear and use those common language. That's what, in the search results, that's the majority of the time, that's what people are using. So, you want to use common language as much as possible.
Awesome. Well, that's great advice. Thank you so much for that. Looks like we don't have any more questions. We did have one just from Austin in Massachusetts that said great information. Thank you for providing it. So I echo that. Andre, I want to thank you again for all your expertise and appreciate your time today. Thank you everyone who's joined us. We will follow up with a note to everyone that includes the recording of this broadcast. So if you missed any portion of it, you can refer back, or if there's any information that you want to go back and review, that'll be there for your reference, as well as Andre's contact information. And for any additional resources or information for small businesses, I encourage you to visit staplesconnect.com. Lots of great stuff on there to help you during these times and ongoing. So with that, I think we'll wrap things up. Thanks again, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Alyssa.